So every day, basically, the first thing I do is check my channel stats on YouTube. Then I take these and add them to a Google Sheet so that then I don't keep checking them every 5 minutes. I know how to create sites, but to create a dashboard that can take in all of these stats and make it look nice, how hard would that be from scratch with an AI tool? I picked Claude AI because I heard it was one of the best at producing working code. I'm just using the free tier at the moment, and when I run out of credits, I do a few changes by passing in the code to Grok. For the stack, I primarily work with PHP, and I kind of like SQLite at the moment, just as it's so easy to move and set up as it's just a file. I already have a test server where I can just upload the code and test it. Rather than making it more complex with versioning tools, I basically just set up a folder on my local computer and called it V1, V2, etc. And then every iteration of the code that was produced, I would move the files into the next version, in case there was error with the code, and then I could just go back to a working version. Documentation. The AI produces working code and also documents how to use it. So save the code, then copy the docs into a Google Doc under the version number so I can tell what has changed and how to use it in the future. Now I have a 33-page Google Doc with all of the prompts and changes that were made to the current dashboard product. Working with AI. It actually produced a full working application with a prompt. It was actually amazing the code that it produced with only one. So my first prompt was, I have a spreadsheet that I use for tracking YouTube video daily stats. I would like to build this into a PHP dashboard application. It would have logins for multiple users and store data in SQLite. Can we start with the index that has a login and basic theme, or do you need the layout of the data? And basically from this prompt, after I pasted the spreadsheet in, it produced this dashboard with a login system and connected to the database. So then I just test it and go, what else can I add in this? As I'm using the free version, the chat length is limited. So every change or so, I would start a new chat and then provide the files again, which is pretty easy. You just say, I'm working on this application and can you make these following changes? So the next version of this was to add API connection to the YouTube data. I just did the simple one to begin with, which provides basic stats, but it worked quite well and even produced a cron script that I added to the server to update the data in the background. Then at around version 4 or so of the code, I requested too much in one prompt and it stuffed the whole code basically. So I think the main thing to watch out for here is to just ask for small changes at a time and then test them before moving on to the next changes. So rather than going, can you add YouTube API version 3 and all of the data, you should just pick little steps per page. So I rolled back to the last version, which was version 3, I think, and it was quite nice actually. I could list multiple channels of the dashboard and it showed a nice chart and the cron was working well, updating the daily stats in the background. I'm still yet to update it with the OAuth and all of that, which I might add later, but it does have basic API integration with YouTube, which is nice. The next idea I had for the app was to add a content calendar, which it did quite nicely. Then it lists the items on the calendar, so you can basically look at the calendar view and see what videos you have scheduled for each channel, which is a nice feature that I don't think many other things have, including the YouTube, except for just a basic list. I noticed that as it coded, it included separate inline styles. So I extracted these styles and had it combine them all into one file so that when I do add dark mode a little bit later on, it will be a bit of a smoother process. The code it writes is all PHP inline, which is not really ideal, but it does the job for now. I could probably request extraction to smaller files as well, but I'll add that to a bug list and do it after. Basically just as I have thoughts, I kind of just write them down and then I can say, just pass it in with the code and go, can you do this? And it's like, yep, here goes a new code, test it, and then the feature's added. That's how easy it is. So yes, that's as far as I have come with this app so far. It is very cool to watch it code and be able to produce something working so quickly. I think the market is probably saturated for this kind of product, but let me know if you want to test it and I will drop you a link or something. Anyway, thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.